Good morning, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at vampires. Now, I've been getting requests for this archetype for the past several months, but I didn't really want to go around and do it. However, I decided, okay, let's have a look at it for the first time since probably 9.6 when Regis came out. And honestly, I had a great time. The deck was actually very strong, and it's surprising how strong it can be. So with that being said, what we're doing with this deck, it's not like the typical one that you play where it feels very binary, where the defender comes down, operator comes down instead of flutter, and then you just fill up behind a defender only to go and take Witch's Sabbath later on, right? And bring them all back. That's just not my preferred style of play, and this is the card I'm talking about here. I decided to have other win conditions and make it a little bit more interesting for myself. This is the way that I like to play. So I'm sure you guys are going to be wondering, well, what about this card and this card? But this is what I like, and I'll explain why I put each card in here. Everything has its own reason and purpose. It feels very smooth when we're playing it, so I think it doesn't even need a change at this point. So what we have here is Cursed Scroll, and on order we can draw a card of our choice, then put a card from our hand to the bottom of our deck. So this is going to make sure that we have the ideal round one hand, right? So being able to have both operator and flutter in hand is super important if we want to just start off and do our opening strategy of putting down operator and flutter. Now, this play is something that doesn't really change between games. You're always looking to put these two down, use one leader charge first turn. It's just kind of the way that you're going to flow tempo and start getting more points than your opponent and bleeding on the opponent's side of the playing field to turn on Regis Reborn and to turn on Erendite, right? Because we want to stay ahead for points and we want to have bleeding on turn end every turn if we can, so that we get the maximum value for the Regis. Now, other than that opening play, you have the flexibility to do what you want within the round, and I think that's kind of why I like it, right? It doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing every single game. Every situation's a little bit different. So really cool here. Oniromancy, I feel, is required in order to make this work, because there are some things that we want to pull if we don't have, right? Operator being one of them. I think Erendite being one of them, just because it accumulates tons of points. I think one game we had it at 17 points throughout the games that you're going to see today. So you can imagine that that's something you don't want to miss. Right, Regis, there's a lot of good top-end gold cards that we want to have. And, you know, Regis does play for around 20 points as well. If we can get Regis up to 15, 16, I'm feeling pretty good. Plus the drain 3, so we're taking 3, we're giving ourselves 3. It's a solid point slam at the end. You guys know I play Qcento more than anything, and I love playing Nilfgaard for tons of points. This gives me that same sort of satisfaction. It fulfills that craving, so definitely something I couldn't go without here. Now, a lot of versions are running Unseen Elder. I just felt like it was a little bit too expensive, and I feel like it's one of those things that maybe you would include if you're doing the whole thing with the defender and all that, which I'm not. And same thing applies with the Oriana. I feel like this is a very slow play when you get it started, and it just doesn't really, you know, get the value that I need it to quick enough so that they can't remove it, because in around 4 is kind of bad, and being roll locked to range and it not being a deploy, just an active engine, it could get answered quite easily. And of course, Proto Flutter, again, it's just one of those things that I think is a little bit too expensive, you know, which is great and everything, because if you're running Proto Flutter, you probably want to have something like the Armored Arrakis, which also I didn't feel like it was worth the provisions in this case, because we're feeling pretty comfortable without it. Apply bleeding to an enemy equal to its base power. Yes, I know that this is great for giving 13, you know, bleeding onto a Tibor or something like that, but oftentimes I feel like we're just fine without it, and I like more of control options in my mid, you know, range, because I feel that oftentimes if the flutters are going to get punished, they're going to get punished, so we don't want to go too tall with them just in the event that they do. And being able to have flutters for multiple rounds just feels pretty comfortable to me anyways. So those are a few cards that I didn't go ahead and take, right? And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think that's just overall a different way to look at the deck. And if I was doing that huge setup, I'd probably want to have, obviously, those are the big payoff cards. We'd probably want to have Megascopes in the bronze end as well to make additional copies. I just felt like it was a little bit too slow. If we're running Erendite to have Megascopes, it's anti-synergistic because now we're waiting for this to spawn cards to get payoff late round. So it's, like I said, totally different way to go about playing the deck. I just like my control. Now, Heatwave, we can get rid of a unit or artifacts. So if we have like a really big threat on their side of the playing field, whatever the case may be, we just remove it from the game entirely. Crimson Curse is one of those things where we get Blood Moon on their side of the playing field. So at the start of the owner's turn, give a random unit in this row bleeding for 2. If the unit's already bleeding, damage by 2 instead. Pretty cool, right? And then we get the 2 Echimeras as well. So we get 6 points on deploy, plus we start getting the bleeding engines for 5 turns, plus they do 2 per each that we can give. So the idea is to get a full row full of bleeding and just really help tick down the opponent, help keep Regis ticking, right? Building value within the deck, help Erendite get the value, and hopefully get some boost for the Flutters in the meantime. So this feels really good. What synergizes really well with Crimson Curse would be Detlef, and Detlef basically spawns Blood Moon as well. So, you know, we have the ability to go and even give another row Blood Moon, and then we have the Order Engine, so damage an enemy with bleeding by 1, Deathblow spawn in Echimera on the row with a cooldown of 1. So we can do this every single turn, and we're just getting that 3 points passive per turn, hopefully if this card doesn't get answered. So I like it quite a bit for that reason. Now we have another removal being the Erendite. This is really cool, pretty simple. As long as we remain at the end of our turn higher in points than our opponent, this is going to get 1 on the counter to it, right? And we can use this card twice throughout the game. I find more than often, late round 2 is fine to use it. Round 3 is perfect, right? This should be no less than 10 points. It should be no more than 20, but no, it's going to be around 15, 17 in most matchups. I would say it's pretty safe to say it's definitely up there, unless you're playing around a deck that's built around this card too, and then it's a power struggle and who gets the bigger Erendite. So those matchups could be pretty difficult for the Erendite value, but it's not our only win condition. So, and chances are, if our Erendite is competing against theirs, it's going to be a pretty even battle anyways. So theirs might not be that great either. So that's that. Ring of Favor just feels like one of those cards that you should have in pretty much every single deck until they nerf it. So this card starts in the hand, boost an allied unit by 4, while in hand at the end of your turn, increase the boost by 2. When your opponent passes, banish self from hand and draw a card. When moved to the deck, banish self. So what that means is basically it plays for a boost by 4 on turn 1 of the game. Every single turn that we hold on to this card in our hand, it's going to be accumulating value of 2 per turn. If your opponent passes on you, you get rid of this card and you draw another card. So it plays for consistency, but also it helps us keep the opponent in the round for longer, because, you know, they start playing aggressively and then we just have like a 20-point Ring of Favor late round to keep them right back in the round here, which improves our other counters. So perfect synergy with the 3 cards, really. It doesn't get much better than that. And definitely sweet. Even if this goes up in provision, I might even consider a way to keep it in here, but for now it's just a perfect fit. Now, Toad Prince, this is one of my favorite monsters cards, like probably top 5. Deploy on melee, consume a unit with 4 less power. I always want to use this one offensively and take one of the engines on the opponent's side of the playing field. Since we have locks, since we have bleeding, things to keep it at 4, you know, we can take it away no matter what it is. It can be the biggest threat that they have, even potentially, right? So Toad Prince is great. Toad Prince is good for abusing coin. Toad Prince is good in a short round, even short round 3, because chances are you're still able to pull it off no problem. So I like it for that reason. The big play at the beginning, we talked about it, revolves around the operator with the Flutter. And pretty simple here. I teched in a lock. You might want to go and play maybe something like Queen of the Night in that spot, or Xavier in that spot. It's really up to you, but I have a squirrel here, and I felt like all the Purify that I'd probably want to do would be offensive Purify, and Feast of Blood's just really good in that spot. So I decided to go for the lock, but you know, that one's debatable. It's just a preference thing at this point. And Gale can get some pretty cool value. So this card here I think is great for 6 provision. It'll play for 10 plus points. What I do is I bleed something down. Usually that's something that's between 4 and 6 power. I'll bleed it down throughout the round. And when I put this on melee at the end of the round or later on when it's 1 power, then I can damage the unit by 1 and death blow it, boost self by its power. So you can imagine if we're death blowing, let's keep it simple, something at 4, right? We're getting the 4 plus the 1 is 5 plus the 4 that we're gaining off of that, right? Pretty cool. But the ceiling on this is pretty high of a card, right? And it doesn't have to be like a death blow 1. We can even just do the 3 damage if it's already bleeding, if we need to really remove something and work towards it that way. So that pretty cool stuff. I do have Incubus here because I do believe in bringing back one of these at least, right? Let's say we have round 1, we play Operator plus 1 from hand is 2. We can bring 1 back later on and play the other one from hand, which is 2 for the later round. So it splits up the flutters quite well. We've got a total of 4 that we're working with throughout the game, and that's more than enough for me, right? Alp is probably one of my favorite vampire cards. Give an enemy unit bleeding for 3 turns. Order, give an enemy unit bleeding for 3 turns. So if you think about it this way, if I have 2 flutters on the playing field, right? This is sitting just there, and we're putting down an Alp. Alp is going to be giving each of those 2 flutters 3 boost on the turn that she's played, and then 3 boost each the second turn. So essentially this card is playing for 6 per turn times 2 is 12 plus the 4 that the base power's worth. Right? Which is crazy. And then not to mention the bleeding that we're getting from it, right? It's just one of the most important vampire cards. And I don't think that you can play vampires without using something like this. I used to think Nilfgaard was great, but this is just like so fast. The tempo's there. Even when you don't have flutters available, it feels really good. And you'll see the opponents often overcommitting to remove this because they respect the fact that this card's strong. Nilfgaard, something you want to get out early if possible, right? Give an enemy unit bleeding for 2 turns, cooldown 2. Whenever you play a vampire, reduce the cooldown by 1. So we have a fair amount of vampires in the deck. Pretty much every turn we're going to be playing a vampire. Okay, so we're going to be getting constant feed of bleeding and just really overwhelming the opponent's side of the playing field. So we have that there. And Undying Thirst, this is a card that I probably wouldn't play in any other deck other than something like this, because otherwise the card's just really bad, really slow, really power crept. But give an enemy bleeding for 6 turns. Again, this card, you get the 6 plus the 6 plus the 6 is an 18-point play if you have 2 flutters on the board. And I'm always aiming for 2. That's why I'm using 2 for the example here. So unbelievable. These cards, like 1 and 2. In fact, this deck's, like, I would say it's carried by the bronze end, but then we have such a good gold synergy as well that I can't even decide at this point. And then just a couple easy things, right? If they have resilience on their side of the playing field, or they have a defender we need to get around, we get to purify it, damage it by 3, and if we have a vampire, also give it bleeding for 3 turns. So we get the purify, so if it's a Siri Nova, we're denying 8 points of carryover, then we're doing 3 damage, and then we're giving 3 bleeding, which also could proc the flutters on the same turn, right? Which is unbelievable. And Garkins are in here. It's a pretty flexible spot. I like Garkins because pretty much every turn we're guaranteed to have bleeding. I think that Garkin has a higher point ceiling than something like a Bruxa. If we're looking for Bruxa here. It's whenever I'm looking for something, I can't find it. Yeah, Bruxa. So higher point ceiling than that. And I think overall, maybe more effective than natural selection. I don't really want to be killing things off quickly. We want to have a long round of their units just bleeding. And I want to make sure we have enough units so that we're always giving a new unit bleeding. So natural selection just felt like it was a little bit anti-synergistic in that spot. And another thing, if we're playing against a deck, maybe Scalaga or It can be pretty much anything that runs Golden Necker or any of the Echo cards. I feel like Squirrel's just a really good tech to have in that spot. Plays really nicely. If you don't want to run Squirrel, you can run Spores, but I honestly don't think we need Spores at all because we have so much bleeding, we have locks, we have a couple tall removals. So that's pretty much it. I wouldn't change the deck myself, and you'll see how it plays today in the gameplay. I've got 6 games with live commentary for reference, and I'll put the deck in the description so you guys can try it out for yourself. If you like the deck, make sure to give it an upvote on the Play Gwent website because this is one of the ones I'm actually pretty proud of. So with that being said, we'll get into the games. Thanks for stopping by again, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new video. Alright, so we got Mobilization, Northern Realms. This is great. And we're going to be against the coin here. Okay, I think that's a little slow. Probably want that later game. We've got a couple flutters here. Take the 4. It just feels like, here we go. You know, I can't give that bleeding. It's an engine. It's going to be 1 per turn. There we go. We got commandos or something on the way. Yeah, let's just heat wave that real quick. Let's go. Okay, so we have Nilfgaard Tactical Decision, and it's probably going to be mill. And we do go first here, so let's make it happen. We've got the Flutter, we've got Operator Access. We can make sure that something important doesn't get milled, right? I'm gonna put back some of these cards, you know? There we go. We need stuff that gives bleeding. I don't think there's a huge lock target from my experience with the matchup, so let's see what's going on here. Whoops. Probably gonna be this. We'll take a good one. Pick a card to draw, our finisher. And put a card back. I'm gonna say this. Even though they might have Nova. It's still draw it. I'll probably mulligan back Oniro. Ah, they're gonna take that away, aren't they? Here's what we'll do. And then we'll just play, I think, a Neckarat or an Alp. Probably Neckarat, get the most value. We just gotta make sure we stay ahead. I'm trying to get this Erendite to actually work. And I don't know for certain if it's what I think it is, but, you know, that doesn't play for anything, does it? There we go. I think I'm supposed to save this one pretty much no matter what. Maybe we play the Alp. So far, no mill stuff, you know? At least their leader's out of the way. I'm going to keep one charge with mine. That's pretty good tempo. Here. And we take... scared to go taller with this one. Honestly, something like this should just be pretty good. Because then we can do twice. I'm really, like, hoping that they don't have yen, because obviously 26-point removal is really bad, but I'm willing to risk it all. There we go. So far nothing to do with mill. That's not bad. I don't think lock's as important. Heatwave's pretty good. And I get like one more. Well, actually, the whole hand's good. Okay. Let's just play. We take, we'll give them back this. We'll take our own. Right, we're building, there we go. We're building the value of, like, everything. We'll take Erendite number 1 here. Death Blow. You know, that's kind of cool. Yeah. We're getting back Erendite. We're still ahead. Erendite's worth 11. If they play Nova or something right here, it's still not enough points to get ahead. I guess they can just roll that. That's a good guess. We're doing pretty well, though. Okay. Good. Lock. It could be something, actually. Well, it's looking more like hyper thin. Okay, there's bleeding. We don't have Onero. It's a little bit better. Get some actual bleeding out there. I was looking for one of these two, though. It's, sick. Alright, I think I'm just gonna go and take. Then we can just play an Alp. I think it's funny how they play into Erendite with... what was theirs worth? 5? You know, I think it's still afloat for that. Really? And really, there's nothing else I can play. Like, we want to save all this. If it's Colgrim, we're just actually chewing through whatever they play. Goes up by 1. Death blow we take. Boost by base power. And that gets bleeding. There we go. Double tall punish and a point slam. It's gonna be drained by 3. Honestly, like, I think this is what we do. Because we have enough points here, we can remove anything else they play. There you see it. They'll get the damage by 1. But then I think we just delete it. Let's go. Alright, so next up here we got Northern Realms Stockpile, and we are on red coin. Which is kind of where I like to be, right? I like to really just push them. Now, we've been really fortunate with the polls. I think we can put back one of the Alps, save for later. I feel like if I don't keep Regis, we just don't get Regis. Maybe we put back the Incubus for now. That's even better. We can just Operator here, just get it out of the way, and then we can take the Oniro for something else so we're not wasting, right? The big thing is trying to stay ahead enough so that we can get a good Erendite in this matchup. With Northern Realms having this much tempo, it's kind of scary if you think about it. But we'll do our best. I'm going to say cram the row up a little bit. There we go. So you'll see here. Well, oh yeah, we're not ahead. We're actually tied. I think it's hard to say. I think if you're tied, it should kind of work, you know. But whatever. We'll do 1, 2, and 3. It's alright though. Now the problem is boiling oil takes it away, right? We do have another one. We could just play the second one. But I'd rather get some of this stuff out of the way now, right? And I think last say is important because last say is going to determine whether or not we get... Okay. There's that. I'm gonna have to do something kind of big here. That's a really good reset. Like, we need to push it a little more. Get ahead. Boost up by base power. Okay, you know what? Crimson Curse feels good. I guess Erendite's just one of those things that we don't really care to play, which is fine. We had, I think there was one game during some playtesting where Regis wasn't even worth playing, but there's other win conditions. Let's go for the second one. There we go. That's cool. Sure. Don't we just boost it with Ring of Favor? Okay, we're finally getting it. Erendite's not going to be disgusting. And what's nice is that we did win on even so we can bleed. No pun. Alp's good. I think we can put that back for now. Locke's actually very good in this matchup, I think. But I need something proactive, right? You see? None of the above. You know, they probably have boiling oil. Okay, we can resurrect one, we can play one. I think if I'm going to go for anything, it's going to be a Neckarat. Or a Garkin. Or we could just do the smart thing. Yeah.
Share the night, share the love.
I don't see a problem with it. Just because, you know, building up, going for 2-0, or at least trying to.
Gladly help if I live to see it.
That's definitely something you want to lock. We can wait a little bit longer, right? Because we're getting that turn end stuff. I think we just go here and do this. And there's only one reason really why I'm stacking melee here. It's because obviously we want to make sure that we can deal with the that's 3 turns. I think we still eat it. I just want to play around siege a little bit, that's all. Here, we'll put that for now, just so we have it. So the idea, this goes down to 1, then we just damage it.
You want peace? Fight for it.
Right? They get the crew. This gets a lot of points. I guess they just had enough. We'll see if it comes back, but if it doesn't, I'll just cut it out so you guys don't have to sit through it. Alright, we're back. I kind of want to provoke leader. I think I just do something like this now. Like, I want them to take the leader, but I also want them to, like, start taking winch on this and stuff. And then we have a bit better heat wave. Actually, this could be a heat wave. Whatever they pull. Yeah, it's a Revenant. That's kind of a big deal. You know what? Let's just heat wave that. It's all 2s, right? So that was the heat wave. I think last say is going to be siege or something. I don't think they could do 20 points. Yeah, it looks like a 2-0. There we go. And we got Nilfgaard Tactical Decision coming up next, and we go first. These two kind of good. We want flutters, we want operators, right? We need to get one of either. So I think the lock can go back. That's nice to see. Let's do one of these for now, that for now. Squirrel's not great. Squirrel's great if they have Erendite, but maybe we just put back Squirrel. Here. I'm starting to think about Ceremonial Dagger, but maybe we don't. Because the second I go and put something like that in the deck, then we're just not going to be pulling other cards that we need. I want to draw... Probably want to draw Regis. I think we're going to put back Squirrel. Just in case. I got to have like a finisher play, right? If we get into a short round, and if they are mill... The smart play is probably to go and put the... Ah, they're just going to take that away, aren't they? Here. We got to have a backup one online, you know? I'll start playing on range row too. I don't need to play on melee. I I think Nekarat goes down next. That's interesting. Just to get the best engine value, right? This one is roll lock to melee. And so is the Gale. So you shouldn't be putting these on melee, arguably. Unless it's like against Siege, maybe.
I shall be your eyes.
That's kind of a bad card for them to draw. Oh well. At least we get one back. We'll just put bleeding on everything, really. If we can get Nova down, we get the best answer to it. Purify damage by 3 and bleeding 3. Like, takes away 8 points off the Purify, does 3 damage, and then we get 3 bleeding. So it's like, it's arguably one of the best bronze techs in the game, if you think about it. If they take Qcento and draw trash, that would be really good, but we do get Erendite, that's good to see. Whatever. You get some good value there. Honestly, we kinda need to bleed, don't we? And they aren't milling anything. I'm gonna say that goes for now. Just because I don't have the flutter. And we'll just go and take Incubus on the first turn here and just get started. And then just really push. Here.
Share the night, share the love.
I'd almost want to put 2 of these, but I don't think we should. You start getting greedy with it, and then it just doesn't work out. And once they stack throw a little bit more, we'll probably get, yeah, they're taking that away. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Definitely have Yen in hand. Or Vilgefortz, or both.
To do business with you is a pleasure.
I'm pretty sure we just lock.
Mankind is a virus, a plague.
It'd be the best Purify they ever get, but
Not all battles need end in bloodshed.
then we could take Blood Moon. We've got a couple Vamps, right? Yeah, it's gonna be on melee.
For the great sun!
We'll take now because it plays horribly in a short round. fun. I'm not seeing any 4s. We still have bleeding. I think it's supposed to be Gale. We take Gale off a Flutter. It's pretty good. And is this a random? Damage an enemy, boost the lowest power. Okay, so it'll boost like a token.
Death would be a mercy you do not deserve.
I'm waiting for Nova. If it's a beast, good thing a vampire's not a beast.
You wouldn't want to hurt us, would you?
This will go down to a 4, then we take it out. I think I could potentially just get away with Erendite here. Damage by 10, just clear it.
It's mocking me, I can tell.
Praise be to the great sun!
46, 52, like... Erendite's still worth more. We've got Heatwave, we've got a couple other things here. I think that's the pass I'm looking for. Any more might just be too greedy. And if they don't have Yen in hand, then they might have to play a second card, which is crazy. So... yeah, there we go. Sword's worth 12. We have last say. Regis unprotected. Or Regis protected. Not unprotected. It's safe. I think this can go at this point. This feels proactive enough, but what else would we have? It's quite a bit. There's actually quite a bit we can pull. Alright, cool. So if we win missing Heatwave and Crimson, that's 20 provisions worth of golds we missed. Definitely got to get this started here.
Got ya! You bleating son of a gun!
There we go. I'm trying to get this bigger, but I don't know if it needs to be above 12. Surrender plays for 4 points. We could take Toe Prince. Just in case. I don't know if we're going to get any other 4s, right? And then we'll do this, because who cares about Nova at this point? We'll just take out whatever, right?
I shall do as you command.
We're going on a record here for me, at least. They played triple. We have Heatwave.
Don't make me laugh.
That's like a perfect finish. Alright, so coming up here next, we got Nilfgaard soldiers. I hope it's like mine, but at the same time, I hope it's not, because it's actually pretty strong. So we'll see what we got here. Operator's nice to see. Is there anything that we'd need to squirrel? Probably the Onero, because that gets pretty bad. I think this can go for now. Flutter's good. These aren't bad to see. This is pretty good to see. I'm gonna say squirrel can go, and we'll see if we need it, that's all. Not gonna lie, I kinda just played into a pikeman, right? Let's get this one down, and then we'll get... They might have ointment too, so we gotta be careful with this. But I think we can go and get the Garkin down. Like, I kind of want to capitalize on some of these inexpensive engines here. Playmaker. Yeah, we'll be alright. We gotta keep this thing going, too. Here, I think double flutter's actually necessary. And then we could do... I don't think I touched leader just yet. They muzzy the 6. That's a good muzzle. I'm gonna stop touching this card though. And Erendite's looking pretty good. There's a lot of stuff I need or want, you know? Like Toad Prince is actually one that would be pretty cool. And then I think one of these goes back. Toad Prince does really well into this matchup because they've got a lot of 4-power engines, right? Like the Illusionists for Bonded, the Pikemen, Crossbowmen potentially, right? Like there's just so many things that it could be that it's just 4-power. It's gonna be... So I'm pretty sure mine has doesn't have Heat Wave. It's got muzzle and yen, I'm pretty sure. We're not staying in for real for this long, but we just go for the boost. Yeah, see? That's what I was waiting for. We gotta keep going. Peter for MVP. You know, the funny thing is, we're actually still ahead. Which is just unbelievable. They got... Okay, they're down by 7. And they've got 2 turns of bleeding. 31. I don't see it. Like, because they have ring, right? Yeah. So they got to take something they actually don't want, which works out perfectly. Now, because I know the deck, I could just play Regis and not have to worry about it. Last say doesn't matter. Unless for whatever reason they changed it and put in like Heat Wave as well, but I don't think you can fit all 3. Let's draw that. That's great. We have there a Fletter, and we can go Oniro for a throw. Actually, we'll take Squirrel. Like, what else are we gonna use? What I fear the most is that card. So we'll just make sure they don't have anything to put it back in deck and do any fancy stuff, you know? Nice. Okay. So this can go back. Alp is very good here. And it's going to be probably something like Incubus or Detlef. We go first. Yeah. I think it's going to be Incubus. I gotta stop playing on melee when I'm playing against soldiers. It's just I don't play against soldiers a lot, right? Hopefully it doesn't cost us too much. It's a good lock. Is that the second one or the first one? There we go. One's better than none. It was good while it lasted. This one's just kind of running away, I think. Tall punish, huge punish. We'll take our illusionist here. Ah, they boosted it. Actually, Erendite feels pretty good on that, right? A lot of the deck plays around that. I regret not taking this sooner, but it doesn't matter. We'll take it this turn. Mushy Truffle. They're probably going to be getting... Okay. they're actually getting, it's actually working. Here, we'll take this one to prevent the bonded. That's what I want. And I hope that there's something good enough for a heat wave. Probably the Flutter. But it feels bad if the Flutter gets heat waved when it has 3 bleeding on it. So maybe they'll play something here. Counter's 16 on that.
It seems you fear death.
I can't recall what they took. Oh, they took Erendite. That's a really good. That's an incredible play with the Vilg. Really. They get the 2 here, and then they get like a 17-point Erendite, which just nerfs this. 16. Unbelievable. Alright, so we're playing against vampires, and we go first. I think we're going to put this back for now. Garkin could be actually kind of good. Get another engine out there. Maybe we want to put that back for now. And... we can do better. Just in case they're running natural selection, it would be absolutely horrible. Okay. If I'm drawing, we're drawing into... Probably put away a feast. Probably grab a lock. And we gotta get these Neckarats online, really. I think we're supposed to start with Undying Thirst.
Mankind is a virus, a plague.
Don't have an answer to that, though. Alright, so it's the long round play we're going for. We kind of have to keep 2 online, otherwise we just get in trouble here, but I can lock 1. Scoping's kind of slow. Let's get this going here. Just try and split it up as much as we can on the board. think we gotta get another one out there because the scopes are kind of scary, right? Everything's looking pretty good so far. And then with 2 active ones, with their 2 active ones, then we can go and take Undying Thirst and it gets good value. I would imagine that they do have Ring of Favor. There it is. They continue to play. We've got Heatwave and Ring. So inexpensive plays. They sold a little short, I think, on theirs. We got the 1 bleeding, so we just take it. Oh. I didn't see the other one. Whoops. That's a whoops. Let's go into a sudden death, guys. If I draw well, we could win. They passed on me, so we get that little extra push. Heatwave here feels so bad. Purify damage by 3, Vampire, yeah. If I give them less to interact with, it might be better. And they could have drawn poorly too, right? Give that bleeding. I'll just take that. I think the move... I should have thought about that when I played, It's not a huge deal. But maybe should have had the extra turn. Realistically, everything's gonna have bleeding though, so... If they don't have Regis access, we could just win even card down. That's pretty good. Two, 5-2, this goes. Oh yeah, they don't have Regis. It's 9 and under, by the looks of it. Yeah, okay. Sure. So I think I'm actually supposed to take it here. So we can get the extra. I just hope that that's enough. If they play something else, we just take Heat Wave and maybe we're good. If they have Spores, we just... Well, actually, we don't care. It's not even good. I don't know, though. They have a couple points off this, plus the... yeah. That's just gonna get... that's gonna get the Heat Wave, I think. So we're up by 6, but they take 2 bleeding. Let's go. That was so close.